Hey, this is Mike English. Welcome to another Alive with Mike. And today is October 13th, and a special day if you're a Apple user because they're going to release shortly here. I think it's 10 a.m. Pacific time. It's going to be 1 p.m. Eastern time. So we're probably within an hour of that event going live where they're going to talk about the new iPhone, and it's rumored to be iPhone 12, which would be the next step up in the series there. And yeah, so on this day, we look forward to that kind of information. And that's kind of one thing with the web is that. And I guess that's an app, your mobile devices, everything, all that just continues to advance year after year. There's speed, there's functionality, there's all these differences. If you just got iOS 14, you saw some updates in your phone from that. Maybe you're an Android user and you know that there are updates coming all the time. There are your Android software updates all the time. So the different pieces happening. It's the same with your website, and it's important to keep up with what is working today and what's going to work tomorrow for your website. Everyone wants to show up well on Google for searches, and everyone wants to come up for their products, their services to be found. And there's a whole combination of factors that go into making that happen, and that involves that. And today I want to talk about a little bit of the infrastructure pieces of that, and why that's important as opposed to because there's basically your infrastructure, which is kind of what's called your off-page search engine optimization that helps you rank well. Then there's your on-page, which is some of the things to do with content and that type of thing. So we're going to focus a little bit on off-page today. So just cut off another phone call where we were talking about that. Some folks who are wanting us to take a look at their site because they're having performance issues. They have a site with tremendous amount of content, but it loads slow. Okay, and so you want to take a look at those pieces. Now they're using a number of things, but they need to do some more things. So if you start from your, let's take a look at what impacts your website in the off-page factors. So number one, there's the coding of the site, and obviously we like to build public websites in a WordPress environment. And but not all WordPress sites are created equal. Okay, so we've at times if we have to take over for someone else, they say, hey, our site's slow, can you take a look at this? We look at it, and the WordPress, the way it was built was a bloated format, and so the site is slow based on the infrastructure that was used to customize and create what they have as their website. And so coding is important, okay? And depending on how that was done, because you can buy, these cheap templates, 99 bucks for a WordPress template. It looks good. Then you try to configure it, and it can take you hours or days to do that. And boom, you've got your site if you put the time in. But however, if you go over and take a look at the Google Page Insights and check it, it's loading horrible. It's getting a poor ranking because it's loading slow on mobile devices, loading slow on desktop devices. You dive into it, there's all kinds of things happening. And so what is that? Is it a WordPress problem? No, that's a development problem. So you need to take a look at the way your site was developed. Now that might be too much for you to do on your own. You can go and look if you have Google console, search console, then you can go and take a look at Google Page Insights, and that'll kind of give you a determination of what's happening to your site. Another tool I like that's even easier to use than that, just to get a bearing on it, is gtmetrix.com, gtmetrix.com. And let me just put that in there, tmetrix.com. And that will give you a quick gauge on, it's going to be in the comment section. That's going to give you a quick gauge on, how your site is performing. So there's development. And then a second factor is the hosting environment. Okay, so the way that the site is, the code that's used is set up on the server. What that server's components are is, if that server is operating, with some SSD processors, and is having a fast environment. If the PHP version is new enough, the MySQL version is new enough, that's going to improve the speed. So those are key factors that we would take a look at. And then, so you got your site live, it's on the server. Another piece to take a look at is, should you be using a CDN, content delivery network? This is where it takes your site, which is on that one web server, and it puts it on multiple servers globally. And so where locations, let's just say that, you've got a site, maybe your site is hosted in Chicago, okay? But if you have it on a CDN network, then that site might be hosted in Chicago, New York, Atlanta, San Francisco, London, Paris, Bangkok, those type of places, Sydney. And so what happens then is, if someone from outside of San Francisco, is searching and tries to come up with your site, the San Francisco version is gonna load. So that's and that means it's just think of it like it's shorter distance. So shorter distance means faster load. So that will help it improve. So that content delivery network can help you do that. That's more of an advanced SEO feature that CDN's one that's familiar to many people is called Cloudflare. Okay, so it can be set up on Cloudflare. That takes some advanced setup. You're typically going to have your website hosting provider set that up for you, but you can consider that. So there's that's delivering your site to the fastest possible from the nearest location to the user who's trying to access the content. Then taking that another step further, then there is page caching. So in addition to that, your pages can be cached so that once it's been loaded, that's in memory, and so the next time that is loaded, it loads faster. So if you create a page, you publish it, you take a look at it, it's cached. So then if someone else tries to go and look at that page, boom, they get it faster because you had already been there, because it was cached, and your browsers can cache that. So you use a caching plugin to do that. It remembers what that site had. Now, the benefit is it delivers it faster. What you have to remember then is, if you update the content on the page, you have to clear the cache, so it starts over. It has to load the new content. Otherwise, somebody would see the old content, and so page caching and there's plugins for that now, and we have a number of those. I have a blog post on that today over on digitalhealth.com/blog, or go to the resources button. I'm gonna put that in the chat here as well, and so you can read about some plugins that can help with here. So now I've talked about the coding of the site. And then we've got the server environment. We've got, should you have a CDN? And that's a little more advanced method, but definitely we should have some page caching going on. And then you want to take a look at some other SEO tools, as something that compresses all images so that they're optimized, the smallest possible image file size to give you a crisp, clear image displayed on the screen at the lowest weight file size is important. So you can have tools such as Smush, WP Smush, that will compress and create the maximum, or I should say most optimized image size for the images on your website, and that will do that. So then there's other things you need to take a look at that are important with that. But let me just mention the caching plugins. So WP Rocket, W3 Total Cache is another one. Another simple thing that is helpful in SEO is checking for broken links. You don't want links that if somebody would click on, they go out somewhere and it's no good, or they go out somewhere on your site and it's a page that you got rid of a long time ago. You want to get rid of broken links. you want to change any links to be redirecting to the right spot. So that's another tool that can happen on that. So those are kind of like infrastructure, what's called off page. Now we could go into the on page ones, which gets into those, but these are things that can impact. And I just encourage you to take a look at some of these pieces. They're typically going to need to involve a team, a web development team, your web hosting team, to take a look at these issues and items. And you have to remember that anything you add to your site, you add a plugin, you add some type of tool, WP Bakery to make it easier to create, custom layouts on your page, that can slow your site down. So you take a look at these things. We've had that before, where we build a site, it's been optimized. They've hired somebody internally to work on the site, on their staff. That staff member adds something that slows down the site. We get a call. Why is our site slow? Because of this, which is something we didn't do, but that's the power you have to add things to your site. You can do those kind of things as well. So there's a lot of factors that go into that, but you want to take a look at key ways to keep working to get your site speed optimized, 3 seconds or less per page, and minimize any overhead that's happening there, because that's a Google ranking factor. They're taking into consideration for sure on page experience, how fast your your website or a particular page is loading on a mobile device, also desktop, and the resources it's taking to load that. So definitely, it's always time to do an audit. That the link I put in here, GT metrics, you can do that, once a month, twice a month, once a quarter, just to ensure and get a team involved and to help you take a look at those issues. There's usually some cost with that, but if you want to rank well, you just don't rank well with a once and done thing, because your site needs to be fluid and active, adding content, adding things to it. And so there's a corresponding optimizing, continue to optimize, continue to evaluate, based on the content that you've added, but also based on how things change going forward. So hopefully that's some helpful background for you today. And, our team can always do a audit of your website and give you a specific list of, recommendations for how we would see make improvements that you want to make to speed search on a site. So you can come over to digital.com, reach out to us, go to the resource area, and you'll see that blog on 3 WordPress plugins that can help improve your SEO ranking. And hopefully that's some other valuable information that I gave you today. This was Mike. We'll see you again, do it again next week. All right, take care.